I'll just offer some closing remarks if I can. When we talk about heritage and history, a lot of the times we're referencing places outside the periphery of the city. But settlement in Strathcona started in 1793, at least by colonials, with Richard Beasley. And of course, James Mill built his estate at the southwest corner of King and Queen on the present site of the Scottish Rite. A little bit about this neighborhood of Strathcona. It is historic. 62% are renters compared to Hamilton as a whole at 28%. So, Mr. Chair, this is not a neighborhood adverse to rental. It's a wonderfully rich, diverse neighborhood of good, hardworking people. And it is a neighborhood that deserves far better than both the development that is being proposed and the process that got us here today. There's a long list of benefits that come with the density and mixed use, and Hamilton must absolutely move in that direction. And the residents of Strathcona know this. Density done right offers the efficiencies that come with living closer together and cost savings for the municipal government. It enriches our assessment, and there's also environmental sustainability reasons for going that direction. And the Strathcona residents know that too. But in order for us to get there, our planning needs to be deliberate. Our process needs to be open, available, and inclusive. And Strathcona residents deserve this. All of our neighborhoods do. In Ward 1, we've started our own efforts on that front. We're calling it Planning 101 to assist residents understanding the local land use planning process in an effort to give them full confidence to be full participants in a system that is quite frankly stacked against them. Since my arrival as councillor, I have yet to vote against a development application in Ward 1. Not a 15-story student residence tower in Westdale where a neighborhood group incorporated themselves and had full standing at LPAT in their opposition. And to the previous councillor's point, not a 23-story development at the highest point in the lower city. But in that case, every parcel is unique. That developer actually honored the neighborhood and assembled additional parcels to make it a better development. Not perfect, but better. And it honored the historic house that is on the corner, and it made it part of that development. And they went above and beyond in their outreach and in their consultation. I didn't also vote against a 6-story development in Westdale a few weeks ago, where the zoning set a height of 3 stories. In my capacity of councillor, it's my job to listen to the neighbors. It's to consider their past and to look to the future. It is to consider the staff recommendations and assess whether the development is in keeping with good planning principles and practice, and whether it contributes not only to the neighborhood, but as the city as a whole. And this development doesn't do any of those things. I'm not going to lend my name to support this development application because it fails on 2 important fronts. The process used in getting there for this site and the entire site has failed this neighborhood because the process is the principle. Our citizens depend on us to ensure that they are treated fairly in a system where they have limited recourse, limited time, and where the deck is stacked against them because of the resources of the other side, and a land use system that we all know favors the rights of private property. Part of the deal is that when we conclude a planning matter, when it's done, our residents can go away feeling like they've been heard and there's some certainty of what got approved. And in this case, clearly the goalposts have been moved. They kept moving, and we've got a package that is undeserving of this neighborhood. It should do no harm. The entire process has been contrary to the public interest from the beginning, And the residents, you've heard them, they feel that they have been misled, and that is going to undermine our efforts to intensify going forward. We heard terms like they felt bait and switch. And we've also heard about practices that are not in keeping with what a good neighbor would do. So we're incentivizing a process and a practice that has not been really forthright. I would also like to remark on the design, because I do think it is within our purview to comment on that. So while we may not overwhelmingly be able to change this design, why would we want to add to it? So 12 stories plus mechanical. What community benefit? If you're going to use the term like gateway, what community benefit is being provided? This is disposable. And disposable places are places that could be anywhere and thus nowhere. We've heard in the secondary plan, which is relatively recent, we've heard in the urban design guidelines, we've heard in the design review panel, this could have been a good development. And it should honor the site, including the historic place across the street in the form of the Scottish Rite. Do no harm, do not detract. Uninspired and unremarkable were some of the terms used by the neighbors, by other architects. So those are my concluding comments. I would like to thank Ms. Deer for her treatment of the neighbors and the neighborhood and for doing what she could with what she was given. And I would like to thank the very thoughtful delegates for the inordinate amount of time that they had to put in this and trying to push for a development that honors and not detracts. They're not adverse to change. They understand the process. This did not lend to the credibility and legitimacy of our local process. Thank you, Chairman.